We have zero control over that. We must wash our hands and let that go. However, you do have the control on how you measure yourself. And if you are logging on and measuring based on what all the other pros are doing and this, then you will always fall short. You will feel like you are a failure. And that's why you tend to fall back onto the sidelines. Hey, it's Mike Meiers from the Songwriting for Guitar podcast. Before we jump into this episode, if you're a songwriter, guitarist, and you're looking to advance your skills, gain confidence, and monetize your craft, be sure to check out songwritingforguitar.com for all our free resources. So let's jump into this week's episode. Hey, what's up, friends? Mike Meiers here with the Songwriting for Guitar podcast, episode 124, Stop Watching from the Sidelines. Now, this episode, I'm probably going to get a little energetic. My voice is probably going to fluctuate. It's going to get intense in moments. It's going to get quiet in moments. Because this episode is for so many of you who might be just sitting on the sidelines currently. Some of you are just watching people write. You're watching them record. You're watching them release, co-write, connect with others. And you are convincing yourself that you're learning. That all of you're not doing those things currently is because you're learning. You're taking it in. You're absorbing it. I hear so many phrases like this. But deep down, you're just waiting for permission to start. You're waiting for someone to give that signal, and that's just not going to happen. And so we're going to just break down the myth of staying on the sidelines and the false obstacles that you're putting in the way. Because music already has obstacles. Music has a ton of obstacles, but you putting in your own obstacles, non-existent ones, fake ones, is not helping. And it's self-sabotaging yourself. So we're going to dig into this. This is going to be an intense episode. This is just the intro to it too. So the first myth that I want to talk about is this myth of watching and preparing. I'll write when I understand more. I'll record when so-and-so is okay with it and they're doing their thing. I will start thinking about going through and releasing music once work slows down, once kids. We look for all these other reasons to start. We look at all these other scenarios and we wait for them to be perfect. We just think that once that happens, that's when I'm going to make my move. And we keep on telling ourselves that thing, and it's not true. Because even when that does happen, your eye then goes to something else. Well, I'm going to wait until this gets ready. You can't improve a skill that you don't use. So all this prepping, all this learning, all this waiting, you're never really starting and sharpening the thing. If you are telling me I'm a songwriter and the amount of songs that you're writing is under 5 every month or 2 months, that's a red flag. That's a serious issue. Watching YouTube too is not helping. It's a rabbit hole. I know the irony of this being posted on YouTube. I see that. And I mean tutorials where we're watching this next thing and this next thing and this next thing. That creates that constant feed in your mind of, I'm learning. And there's never any action. And when it comes down to it, it's because observation feels very safe. Observation always feels safe. Creation, however, and taking action is extremely vulnerable. The most bravest people I know are the ones that are not on the sidelines, but they're in it, and it's messy, and they're figuring it out. The best writers, the best producers, the best artists are beyond knee deep. They are neck deep in the process and going through it. And if we look at their lives too, there's a lot of shit going in it. There's a lot of things happening in their lives. They don't have perfect family scenarios. They don't have always the stable job. They may not always have the right amount of income that makes them feel comfortable, yet they're pursuing the thing heavily and they're 100% in it. And meanwhile, those on the sidelines are waiting for perfect family scenarios to give the blessing and wait for, all of those things to work. They're waiting for the perfect income. They're waiting for their job to be like, let's work around what you're doing. Those are so fictitious. It's just laughable. Yet so many wait and wait and wait, and nothing ever happens. And that to me is that's a travesty, and it sucks, because what's beautiful about being human is the expression of creativity. And if you have the ability to use that skill at a high level and develop it to create something that someone sees value in, and you can monetize that, that's even better. So remember, staying on the sidelines always feels productive because you're so close to the game. You can almost touch the action that's happening, but you're never playing. You're never in it. So you may get those moments, those little bursts of energy, because you're watching it and it's like, oh, but yet you never step foot on the field. That to me just sucks. I can't imagine my life just sitting on the sidelines of creativity, sitting on the sidelines of what I want to do and create. Every time that I wanted to do something, there was risk. It wasn't just a time risk. It wasn't just a money risk. It was relationship risk. I was 100% in. And the ones that I have been mentored by, that I've seen grow exponentially, that I've had the privilege to teach, they are 100% in it. I don't have to question it. I don't have to wonder it. I never think, I wonder if they'll hit the pot. They're in it. There's no possible. There's nothing. So stop sitting on those sidelines. Now, there are 3 big obstacles that I know songwriters create. The first one is the inspiration. Yet, and I talk about this continuously, inspiration shows up for people who show up. So if you want to know when inspiration will show up, if you're willing to show up, it's going to be there. It will. But if you're not willing to be there, it's going to be fleeting. That's why it feels fleeting, because your commitment is fleeting. So if you're not even 100% committed, why the heck should inspiration show up for you? I know this sounds very harsh, but it's true. It's 100% true. Real writers, even when they're not in the mood, realize they have to get it done. When I get a brief from something and it's asking, and it has a very tight deadline, and I know I can accomplish it, I don't go like, well, before I start, I'm just going to want to wait a little bit for inspiration. It's ridiculous. No, I have to do this. And so if you desire at a high level to do this, you got to just scrap that, and you have to realize that you are going to have to do it in moments where there's no inspiration. Really, when it comes down to it, is you're not blocked. You're just non-committal. That's all. Now, the second obstacle I see, and I see this all the time, I can't start until I know it'll be good. Because again, remember, those who are in the game are vulnerable. They are okay with the messiness. And when someone says, well, I don't want to put anything out there because I have a standard. I have standards when I do my creation. That's just a fancy word of I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid that I'll get laughed at. I'm afraid it won't be good. I'm afraid that the amount that I've already invested won't come through. I'm afraid that someone in my family is going to be like, I told you so. I'm afraid that I'm going to be doing with this for the rest of my life, and I don't love it. I'm afraid. So I could keep on going on and on and on and on about all these things. And what's interesting too, all those things are not real, yet we're treating them as if they're factual. There's much a figment of your imagination as it is the initial conception of the creation of songwriting, the idea that you're about to do. It's generated in the same area, and yet you're giving one way more attention. So you're not looking for things, you don't have standards. You're just afraid that you're going to fail. And the first draft and the first couple that you do, and anything that's new to your process, of course, it's not going to be perfect. On what planet do we think it will be perfect? Because it's not about being perfect. It's about going in and doing the thing so that you can discover how the process is supposed to go and how you might have to change some things, that it may not be perfect. You may have to tweak a little bit of the process, but until you even try it, you are never, ever going to know. I remember growing up, I'm still a huge Mr. Rogers fan. I'm gonna see if I can remember the words or the line to the song. I think it's like, you can make believe it happens. You can pretend that something's true. You can wish or hope or contemplate a thing you want to do. But until you start to do it, you will never see it through, because the make believe pretending just won't do it for you. You've got to do it every little bit. You've got to do it. It's funny that that still lives in my head, but I think about that a lot. And so when I see someone again on the sidelines, I'm like, you've just got to do it. You literally, every bit, you have to do it. And perfectionism is procrastination wearing a discipline badge. I know we're only 2 into these obstacles, and this one to me is the big one. I want to learn more before I start. I need to know more before I start. It's one of those things that always perplex me, because we say we want to learn more before we start, as if more knowledge or more thing about the thing that we don't understand, that we'll be able to even consume the knowledge and the information about the thing that we don't know, and yet we're going to pretend like we know. We don't. It's I laugh because it's so silly. It really is absolutely silly, because endless consumption creates zero creation. It creates something, but it's just not the actual creation we desire. Knowledge without action just becomes anxiety. It just becomes more knowledge, and it just takes up space in our head. And we go like, okay. And we think it's pretty good, but it really isn't. It just sits there. And you're always getting ready. I feel the songwriters that just sit there and never do any of this, that never develop, that may have some great, let's say, production skill, and they're really good at recording songs, and they did once, and they were able to show something, but then they didn't do it again. They didn't do it again. They're always just kind of doing this maintenance of taking in a little bit more and doing a little bit more, gathering some knowledge, dusting off things. It's almost like they're prepping their station, like they're about to take off, yet they never take off. And you're always getting ready, but it's like you're never getting better. So those are the 3 big things right just there that are a hindrance and just obstacles that songwriters do. And when I think about this next part, I get 2. It's not just me berating you, bombarding and going like, and firing you with all these things. I get why staying on the sidelines can feel safe, and why many choose to do that throughout their entire life. And this doesn't just relate to songwriting, but once you start to see this with songwriting, you start to see it in other areas of your life. And then you can't help but see everybody else around you on the sidelines. When there's no risk, there's no rejection. When there's no risk, there's no rejection. And it feels good because it feels safe. We just want to protect ourselves sometimes. And we're just really like, and even the advice that we may give to someone, that looks pretty dangerous. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's because we don't want them to feel hurt. We don't want them to feel that rejection. And the other thing is, you avoid comparison by staying unmeasured. So if you're not in the game, if you're not participating, you can't be compared to so-and-so. At this point in my career, I cannot be in charge of whether somebody compares me to someone else. if somebody goes like, God bless him. My grandfather would always be like, he passed away this year and I still think about him a lot. I remember like early on when The Voice came out, he would be like, you should do that, because that was his metric. And he compared, because, there's some good singers. They're pretty good. But I bet you could do it and, do something there. That was his comparison, because that's what he could think of. And it was very sweet. And I realized over time, I can't compare myself to anyone. I shouldn't. I'm in charge of my own standard and metric. So if I understand that and I'm in the game and other people compare me and recommend it and all of that, that's totally okay. But I can give permission to myself to not worry about the comparison trap, but just stay in the game and stay focused. When you're on the sidelines too, you also avoid, now this is a downside, even though it may feel safe, you avoid progress and progression. I find it fascinating when someone gets started and they have such potential and they are so damn good. And yet I go back 3 years and they're encountering the same problems. They're encountering the same things. The workflow looks the same. They say the same things. The goals are the same. It's identical. No progress. And so no progress means they've been sitting on the sidelines, probably waiting to make the next move. But they won't. So you can't stay on the sidelines for long. And if you're listening to this and you're feeling a little judged, you feel like uneasy, good. I want you to feel uneasy in the best possible way. I want this to be the push that gets you in the game, the thing that makes you go out and start doing the thing. Because what's surprising is you assume so many people are. There's a good chunk there, and there's plenty of space for everyone. There's not a limited amount, but you have to do it. So if this is starting to inspire, how do we start to now get out of this habit of sitting on the sidelines, but instead start to take action? The big thing, and I love this, is a take from a book that I love called The Science of Scaling. And it kind of piggybacks off of one of the other books, 10X is Easier Than 2X. And we could set a very low level goal. Like, it'd be nice to get, when someone wants to get into licensing, I always hear like, it'd be nice to get a placement. What kind of placement? What are you talking? Like, it's so vague that no wonder you're not hitting the thing you want to do. And you probably will stay on the sidelines because it's just this low intensity goal that has no risk, nothing. But if you say, I want to get 4 placements and I want them to be high level primetime placements in the next 2 years, and you have none right now, and you don't have a team right now, God, the standards have to be so high, and you've got to jump in, and you've got to put things in motion. Now, if I say this, and right now you're like, but Mike, what if you don't hit it? Yeah, you know what? You probably won't, but what if you get 2 medium-sized placements that are decent, and you start to develop a team? Is that better than just sitting on the sidelines and setting yourself a low level of like, oh, maybe I'll get in a library? That's setting a very large goal. You may not hit it completely, but you might get darn close to it. And that's a good thing. You need to have accountability, and you need to have someone see the rough drafts. So the things I'm telling you to go and create, you have to go out. But again, I say this continuously. This is why it's important to have a mirror and a coach and someone that creates a space for you to show work that is not perfect, to show incomplete things, to show disjointed things, to show the thing that is not pretty, to do a couple of things. Number 1, to show you what's working, to ask you, how would you do this again differently? That would also ask, what worked well? So you need to find someone, a mirror, to not only create the space in which you can show all this work, the unfinished work, the messy work, the bits, the unfinished choruses, the half ideas, the sort of process that you're like, I don't even know if this is what I got so far, so that they can come in and look at it and be like, oh, that's interesting. Here's what I would do differently next time. Here's what I think worked well. And here's a new bit to focus on for next time that I'd like you to check out. Now go do it. That person creates a space that is safe, but is also incredibly helpful for you to grow and grow quickly. Don't compare yourself. I talked about this a little bit before, but you cannot control how others judge and compare you. We have zero control over that. We must wash our hands and let that go. However, you do have the control on how you measure yourself. And if you are logging on and measuring based on what all the other pros are doing and this, then you will always fall short. You will feel like you are a failure. And that's why you tend to fall back onto the sidelines. Yet, if you instead go, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to measure by measuring backwards, looking back, seeing that I am making progress, because the last 2 songs that I've gotten feedback on, they've said the choruses have gotten better and melodically stronger. Or maybe you got feedback on the production. I liked that transition. That was really good. What was that sound you used? I thought that was really good. Or maybe you got a song accepted into a library. They were like, we'd love to have this. Or maybe you didn't get a song accepted in the library and they said, we enjoyed the direction, but right now we don't need that, but really love the production quality. Feel free to send us more things in the future. That's still a win. It just depends on how you're measuring. And if you are setting that standard for yourself and measure backwards, you will get wins consistently. And I want to end with this thought. All of these things I've talked about has really shown that there are 2 groups. You are either on the field right now, or you are on the sidelines and in the stands. Songwriters get better by writing and co-writing. Producers get better by producing things. If you're annoyed by this episode right now, good. I hope it did annoy you. I hope it challenged you to push further. To be like, oh, I can't believe Mike said that. I am going to go out there. I'm going to write more. I am going to produce. I'm going to go and I'm going to get a coach. I'm going to get high-level mentorship. I'm going to get feedback. And you know what? I'm going to get good. I hope it's causing you to take action. I hope it's causing you to reevaluate. And if it's also caused you to go like, you know what? I'm on the field. It's uneasy. It's not always the best. I actually feel challenged, and there are moments that I just want to get back on the sidelines and take a break, but I realize that is not an option. Good. Keep going. Keep going. I do this for one reason and one reason only. I, at some point, had to get on the field. I, at some point, had to create the standard of measurement myself and not worry about what others are doing and waiting for their scenarios to align with mine, wait for my bank account to align with what I wanted and what I needed to do. I had to ignore a lot of those things and just make a conscious choice of, this is the thing I'm doing now. And that's my challenge to you. And you don't have to do it alone. Remember, that's why at Songwriting for Guitar, we have one-on-one coaching where you have a dedicated coach in your field of expertise, your zone of genius, guiding you along the way through bi-weekly sessions, through Voxer, which is an amazing app that we have in which you can chat with them throughout the week. We have our writer's room community where you can jump in. We have monthly masterclasses, sometimes guest speakers. And then we have our quarterly entertainment business Q&As with Megan Picard, Esquire, amazing entertainment lawyer. When you got stuff like that, being in the game becomes a little bit easier. And when you have something like that, they're not going to allow you to sit on the sidelines. So remember, if you're unsure, if you're watching this on YouTube, just scroll down. You'll see Foundations call, jump on. We'll get on a call and figure out what is the coach that aligns best with you. If you're listening to this right now on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, just go in the description, same thing, click that link, and we will set you up with Foundations call and figure out what coach works for you. Whew, that was an episode. That was an episode, but it needed to be said. No regrets. I'm Mike Meiers. Thank you so much for watching. Hey, it's Mike from Songwriting for Guitar. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And hey, don't leave. We got other cool videos you should check out too. Like some of these right here. Oh, that one right there. That's really good. You should click that. Right there. Just click it.